Well, the hour being 3 o'clock, this shortest day of the year, December 21st, 2020, we'll call the regular council meeting to order. We have an agenda before us. Anything you wish to add or delete?
Yeah, Your Worship, if I could add 5.1 outdoor rinks service level.
Okay. Okay, anything else? No? Would someone like to move we adopt the agendas? Submitted.
I so move, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. All in favor? Carried, thank you. We have a delegation from the Innisfail Ski Hill. Who is the speaker?
It'll be Rudolph, Brent Jackson, and I have with me Angie Spiller, who's our volunteer coordinator, and she's going to help on kind of work with some fundraising we hope to get done here. Your worship.
Yes.
I think we've emailed out to everyone kind of a package of how we stand as far as the Ski Hill finance for building the chalet. I have some, I don't know if you want some budget numbers, that kind of actual spend and stuff, what we've done so far to date. The actual cost, I think as of December 15th is about $363,000. We had originally budgeted about 385 in there. We've had fair amount of volunteer labor and equipment donated and things like that. So that's kept the budget fairly much in line. Initially, the ski club had $125,000 cash balance in the bank to put towards it. We have received personal donations of $135,500 of just people around donating money towards the project. One big one, but quite a few small ones and fairly good large ones as well. So very much appreciated on the having people donate. Business donations to date are about $6,000, with a bit more coming in probably near the end. And service clubs to date are about 25,000. So we had pretty good community support all around. We're sitting kind of on a kind of a loan of about 72,000 approximately right at the moment. And that's kind of what I kind of explained in the email out there. So I guess our question, if we were to ask for money, would you like us to ask for an amount or give you kind of a few options to choose from?
Yeah, I was very disappointed in not, in the news you got on that CFEP grant.
Yeah, that was
Very disappointing. I don't know if they've done any approvals, that, to speak of this year that I've heard of, but I guess they're too focused on other things. But
and I think the other thing we're working with Kane on some. Angie and I are going to work with him on getting some more grants and donations going. He gave us some leads, and I think we'll kind of vet it through a few people before we send them in to make sure that we're applying properly and putting the right numbers down, making it look proper. There's probably a special way of doing that. We do have some future expenses that aren't in that budget yet. We have on order through Innisfail Appliance about $8,800 worth of appliances. Some are there, some aren't. So that's an approximate number because we're not sure what we're going to end up with. And we're going to look at refencing the front of it and making it a bit better, taking the barbed wire and putting some wood there. So approximate price on that estimated so far is about $3,200.
mhm.
And then we have some old tables that we're going to reuse this season if we get to open. But for next year and in the future, we're looking at getting some new interior tables. And then the thought was we have a little deck out the back, getting some tables, much like you folks have around town, the nice metal outdoor table. A couple of those on the deck,
Yeah.
just so people can sit out too and watch, and they're not all bunched up inside.
Mhm.
And then the other thing in the spring would be some landscaping, and we just estimated it at about 6,000 for dirt and tree and grass and stuff. So that's kind of where we're at. As far as asking for funds, any help, I guess, is appreciated.
Okay. Have you ever had any conversation with the county at all?
We do, we have kind of a relationship with them where they, ongoing basis, supply passes for their county members.
Yeah.
So Division 4 and Division 3 are both looking, Division 4 has been really good that way.
Yeah.
And basically that helps fund us anywhere between $3,000 to $7,000 a year, which is kind of an ongoing support that they do.
Good.
So as far as, we could approach them, I guess. I haven't, but I guess it wouldn't hurt. Sure.
So one of the things, that we feel, and we've talked with these guys before about, is that, this isn't a typical town property like the arena where you help the Eagles put something in, or a park or that kind of thing. This is a private property that's run by the board. And so at the same token, it's a little bit hard, like how to approach the town. I think it benefits the town immensely. I think it brings business to the town. We have been steadily growing over the last 5 years, significantly growing. And so it's a little bit difficult. We're not really sure how to approach the town about receiving supports. Is it best to do that through services? We've talked about having a gate, maybe some landscaping that you have accessibility to, that kind of thing. But we're also, because we didn't get that grant, find ourselves in a position where a tad bit short. Just, to complete this, we've been blessed with that loan, but at the same token, so, I think we're looking for some guidance on how best we can work with the town, if that's a possibility, and what that can look like.
So your worship, through to CEO Becker, I know there were some discussions in the past with the ski hill, and would it be best if, whether you want a motion or not, that we have administration engage with the Innisfail Ski Hill and can talk about some different ideas, and then you could bring something back to us, and Director Weinmark could be a part of that discussion as well. And I know when we talked before, I think the numbers I got from Bernie were Red Deer County was, $5,000 to $7,000 per year with their free ski tickets and rentals and everything. So it's, kind of significant, right? I mean, 10 years, that's $50,000, $70,000. So as opposed to us trying to sit here and say, oh, well, how about this much or that much, or, it's kind of difficult to do, obviously.
Your worship, to Councillor Barclay, that direction has been given. Administration has met, I believe, with Ski Hill on a couple occasions. I know there's interest on a fence or a gate. I think those conversations should be still ongoing. I think we're going to wait, probably, Brent, on the success of the CFEP, and we've heard that. And just to help onto council is be deliberate on the ask. And what is the highest priority? So I'm kind of moving over. So your priorities. If it's financial, it's maybe priority now is, what is that ask? And then we can bridge that into the conversation directly with council. And today is a good start, but we'd be happy to engage with you again. I just talked to Director of Operations Stephen this morning regarding the gate and what that possibly could look like. And so we can bring that into this conversation. But if we can work into today or sometime to be deliberate on the ask and what the needs are based on your priority, and then council can be put in a position to make some decisions.
What do you see? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done, Todd?
Sorry, Councillor Berkeley, I kind of put it to you over back to the delegation.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like if you kind of told us what you need, or, is it cash you're looking for, a financial infusion, or, more in-kind kind of thing, and I'm guessing by the conversation today, maybe it's more of an in-cash kind of fusion, but, you know, I think the more we can narrow that down, the better it is for us, as opposed to us trying to figure out, oh, we'll just throw a number out there and.
Okay. So sorry, Your Worship, is that a conversation to have with Todd to kind of nail down what specific, you know, the specific, because we don't even know what's reasonable, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And again, because it is a private property, it's kind of, you know, not the same as maybe some other town, you know, the skateboard park, things like that, so.
I think what's important right now, like, but are you at a stage that you can open comfortably and safely and, or is there,
No, I think we are, the ski hill itself can open. The lodge still has to be finished up inside to open its doors and pass inspection, of course. Everything, I guess, everything's kind of paid for up to date, what we need in the lodge, other than the appliances. But so safely, we could operate the ski hill. We're just waiting
yeah,
to be inspected.
you're going to be subject to the COVID
Restrictions.
limitations inside and everything else, aren't you? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Councillor Carrot would like
Okay,
to.
thank you, Your Worship. Through to the delegation, just a couple, so the $72,000 loan, that's something you just took on now to help with construction? Or is that something?
It's my loan to the hill.
Okay, so sorry, and I didn't mean to pry that way, just trying to get the finances, but so is the hill able to sustain the payments on that?
There's really no payments until. it's-
Okay, so that's just, okay, my apologies. So what's the?
So there's no trip to Hawaii this year.
I should have been a pharmacist, no. And what is the shortfall right now?
About that, I was, well, probably about, say, 50, 60,000. I was gonna donate about 30 from my family. So, and a bit of that's already in there. So that's about what kind of the shortfall is, but we would like to go after some grants and stuff.
So it's
too.
gonna end up, at the end of the day, after your donations and stuff, about a $50,000 shortfall?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I just want to say, and you've made allusions a couple times to it being a private thing, which we totally understand, but I think we all completely understand how valuable this ski hill is to Innisfail, and it's a great asset. And I think however we can help in the sense of, just my opinion on, you know, gating, et cetera. But I would also, and I feel like there's hesitation to ask for a certain amount of money, and I would, you know, just let's figure out how we can make this work for the ski hill. We can't let it go down. And I think it's just valuable that I think the town can, in my opinion, I think we can look at it somewhat of a donation towards the ski hill. That's the way I feel. What that amount is, as Councillor Barkley alluded to, we can go round and round, but where that's at, I guess we need to determine that.
I think we'll probably get some food for thought meeting with you and the administration, get together and get back to us on what your, you know, they've usually got their ideas too, so.
Yeah, that'd be much appreciated.
But
So I just
certainly
wanted to add,
we have the equipment and things to do in kind and all different angles that Mr. Becker would be probably glad to discuss with you, so.
Sure. No, that'd be great, Your Worship.
Yeah.
Look forward to doing that. Now we can kind of nail down where we're at for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your Worship, I just wanted to add, sorry, one more thing about the county that, you know, and as Councillor Barkley also said, it's great what they have done so far, but as a one-time, like I hope that you do approach them, and, you know, because there's obviously a lot of county people that use the facility.
We'll do that for sure.
Anything else?
I think that's everything.
Now you're just waiting for that 2 feet of snow tonight. then.
Exactly.
Right.
That'll put everybody to work. Town crew and everybody.
Yeah.
Well, much appreciated. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Everybody.
Well, thank you for
And
coming in.
we'll chat with Todd and the administration and kind of come up with some appropriate figures, then you guys can mill it over.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the direction.
But okay, I think just as a bit of a follow-up, I think everybody's in support of that. We don't need a motion to have you just follow up with discussions with them and,
Yeah, your worship of council, they've been really good for what I understand in the conversations, very, what's the word, humble?
Yeah.
So we want to help them with your conversation. So my advice on through Stephen and Megan is ask for what you want and put council in that decision-making mode. So they're just some good people that are running a very important operation.
we should be so lucky to have more groups like that
Yeah.
that prepared to even put in their own money. But anyways. Okay,
Your worship, one question. Is there an appropriate avenue for us to ask somewhere up through to CFEP? Why is it that nobody from Innisfail gets anything? Because it's kind of a pattern.
it's a pattern everywhere. Gavin.
Well,
I know.
you're seeing all kinds of other towns and whatever getting it. And
Yeah,
they-
And I
we're
mean,
definitely gonna follow it up.
if you look at this group, if you look at the Kinsmen and Kinettes, and I don't think, if there's an appropriate channel, I'd like to see us
Mhm.
express concern that we seem to be getting the short end of the stick. If I could say it in so many words.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's exactly, I've talked to the MLA and he was here and talked to us. But yeah,
Yeah, your worship, I think last year the pickleball club in Red Deer got $40,000 through CFIP.
yeah.
Yeah. And here we are probably 3 years in to our term, and I don't think we've seen a dime, so.
No. Danny?
I just had a question on so if this is private land and it's zoned on our map here as park, do they actually pay tax or what is our relationship with the ski hill? Does anybody have any idea?
I think they do own title to the property. And
But
there is-
private property can be zoned parkland? Is that?
Zoning is just parks and open space, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's tax-free, but I can look it up for you.
it'd be no different than the golf course has around their own.
Yeah, I was just curious, like,
Yeah.
I've never really given it much thought. I just pulled this back here and thought, oh, parkland, how does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one of our weird relationships. It just did. But yeah, no, but I agree. I think we should, I hope they do come back to us with a specific request that we can make a decision on, because I think it is an important asset to the town, even though it's not a town asset. So.
Okay. We'll leave it with the CAO and let him get some. I'm gonna try and get in touch with the MLA again this week. Because I didn't realize they hadn't got the word on it till late last week, so.
Well, and I guess to expand on my comments, even if somebody got a portion of what they're asking for, but they don't seem to get anything.
No.
And that just doesn't seem right.
Well, it seems like this should be public information. We could be able to see who's applied and what. Like, I'm just saying, if before we complain that nobody gets anything, have the people that we think applied actually all applied and been turned down, or? I think we should have the facts and then make our case.
Well, and they have a
Well,
list.
I'm just saying.
There's a list every, like they release a list every twice a year of the people that have been accepted and refused for the, across the whole province. So we can, that's readily available. We can get that.
I believe the swim club was successful for the
Hmm.
blocks at the
Blocks.
pool, but that was it wasn't a huge
No.
amount.
But I mean, that's there for the, just request the information. So we can get that readily available.
But as Councillor Reberger says, getting those facts would be good, because yeah, you wouldn't want to go in there and say, yeah, oh, here's this and this, so, yeah. If we could, I'd like to,
Yep.
to see us at least get those facts and then ask some questions.
Okay, we'll follow that up too. Let's move on then to updates from admin 4.1 ECC update.
Thank you, Your Worship. Alberta Health has released new municipal case data to municipalities of population 2,000 and more. So now we can see more specifically what's going on with Innisfil. For what I saw on the spreadsheet this morning, which is updated every Tuesday, is that they're utilizing a population of just shy of 8,900 and an active case amount of 32. That's every Tuesday they update that spreadsheet. If you're interested in that link, I could send it to you. But they're giving more information specifically to each smaller municipality and all municipalities over 2,000. So just a little bit of internal discussions, I guess, and awareness. Pandemic, based on the pandemic onset back in March, we went into the business continuity mode, and we created some limitations on vacation. So we'd only allowed 1 week at a time, never 2 consecutive weeks. So that has then accumulated quite a bit of vacation. Since that time, we have changed that now due to we need people to be on vacation, one from mental health perspective, and then also from a liability to the organization because it's on our books. So right now there's been a large effort and cooperation from staff to take their vacation as we're going into the 2021, which we again start banking those accruals. So that's, as you read in the newspaper of municipalities with layoffs, I'd say one thing that's worked out, and not intentionally so much, but we're able to avoid layoffs because we are repurposing employees and allowing staff to be away. So right now we're skinny on numbers here due to vacation, but also administrative staff working at home through a new administrative policy that was developed last week on outlining expectations, and then the outside staff pushing the high accumulative employees due to longevity, pushing them on their holidays, and arena staff are covering their shortfalls. So that's why we're not subject to those significant layoffs at this point. Of course, to be reevaluated come mid-January and see what's going to happen with the pandemic. So that's just a little bit FYI for council. And if there's any questions, please fire away.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Worship, through to CAO Becker. That's 32 active cases in Innisfil?
Your Worship, Councilor Harrison, that's what I picked on the spreadsheet of last Tuesday. So I think we said a number 51 a couple of weeks ago. And the data didn't demonstrate if that was all the cases, minus those that are now healthy. The spreadsheet is basically an Excel spreadsheet, and it has our population number, and then the 4 weeks, just the last 4 weeks. So that's the number I picked up from the data they provided. And again, I'm not sure what their geographic zone is with that information, where before we're larger due to Red Deer County South, including Spruceview, Pine Lake, and Bowden. So that's It's hard to compare.
It doesn't indicate cases in ICU, it's just total number of cases. Is that correct?
Current active cases is all it states.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So for clarification, that 8,900 then, so that includes some people obviously out of the county. And is that kind of a new picture going forward then, that we're going to be looking at that 8,900 population with this to compare? Or will they still do that Red Deer County South? Will they do that parallel to this one or?
Your worship, Councilor Bates, I'm not sure to be exact. I think looking at the data, I'll confirm that, what the comparables are and what that zone is, but right now I'm not certain.
Your worship, through to Councillor Bates, I believe you can go on to COVID-19 Alberta website. There's an interactive map on there and you can just click on Red Deer County and it'll bring up like South Red Deer County as well and Innisfail as a grouping on their own.
Well, I've been watching it on the Mountain View News daily, but I guess still don't have a good feel as Protective Services Manager as to really what that area is.
Yeah, well, I think it's Innisfail, as Todd said, Innisfail, Spruce View, Markerville, Pine Lake, Bowden, and all
Everybody
points in between,
everybody
kind of
in
around
between.
us. Yeah. And I think you'll
yeah.
see that when you click on the interactive map.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Becker, would someone like to move, we accept his report for information?
I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
Thank you,
that we
Councillor
accept that
Bates.
for information.
All in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. We have an item Mr. Carrot has brought up here.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just would like to open up some discussion on our service levels with our outdoor rinks. Just talking to I've heard some concerns about our ice surface, and I know it's hard because we don't have an outdoor Zamboni to make it real nice, and I guess just like to figure out where we're going in the future with our new Zamboni, if we're gonna be able to maybe use the old one for outside. I know other communities, the ice seems to always be better. And I just think that we can, I know obviously it comes down to service levels as it always does, how much we want to spend and where we want to go. But I think we're a little laxing there on the rink with the boards. A few of the kids were saying that the boards are fine, it works good, but the constant complaint that I hear is ice, that it's just never quite flooded enough, never quite good enough, that sort of thing. So again, going back to service level and where we're going to go with the Zamboni. And just a little point up at the arena ones, the oval and stuff. Somebody had picked up about 20 Tim Horton cups because the garbage cans were apparently. So I'm wondering if we can just throw a garbage can a little closer during the winter. But so I'd just like to open that discussion as to if we can do some improvement and also look at another. I know Old's added eight rinks, and especially, this year where we need to spread people out and we can only do outdoor stuff. I think it's pretty important, and to look at the old skateboard park, if that's been a consideration to turn that into a skating rink.
To Councilor Carrot. So yeah, we actually did look at the old skate park as an option to use that, as well as talking with Dan this morning. We looked at that potential area by Centennial Park as an additional outdoor rink. We would build them as not a boarded rink, but just more of just a skating surface. So we do have an option, I guess, to do that. In regards to the boarded rink, we actually tasked the Parks Department last week to do an assessment of that rink in regards to the boards, the mesh, just an overall condition rating for it so that we can look at maybe doing an upgrade. And during that upgrade, what we would do is look at the surface of it in order to achieve easier ice, to make it maybe more contained somehow. Because that's the biggest issue is right now is with the outdoor rinks, it's timing, it's flooding. We don't have a Zamboni to use outside, so it is, just using a truck and sprayer. So it does make it a little more difficult, but yeah, so we are looking at maybe doing some upgrades potentially next year. As for this year, if council would look at, wants us to consider some more outdoor, maybe potential facility areas, those are two options that the group's already looked at as a potential.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And the other, it always seems as well that other towns have their ice just a little sooner than ours always, because then we get the, how come our ice isn't up yet, right? So, maybe that's something else that we can look at. And so as far as a Zamboni, I would really like for us to be starting quickly to move towards a Zamboni for outside. You can pick, we can pick up used ones. I think it's a pretty key piece of equipment for our outdoor rinks.
Yeah,
So-
we'd have to, I guess, chat with Trish a little bit on that one. I know we do have the two Zambonis, but we could definitely look at that and look at some considerations as well.
Thank you.
I know we did keep the previous, tractor mount Zamboni. I thought we had kept that for the outdoor rinks, but it somehow went by the way. But then they had developed quite a nice little tractor pulled one that and a tank with a sprayer. I thought was a pretty good system too. So I think we've got some relatively good equipment, but of course the Zamboni is the Cadillac for it. But
Yeah, I think one of our biggest challenges is right now is how we prep the surface
yeah,
before it.
I know.
The one at the outdoor rink or at the rinks, it's on grass.
Yeah.
So it's a real timing for that one. If it gets too warm, ice melts and the grass starts to grow. So it's, maybe we need to look at a better prep and maybe look at that as a strategy. Yep.
Your worship, to Stephen, what's the, what would it like, a size cost, what would like to do a little pop-up trial rink over at Centennial Park? Is there approximate cost to put something like that in? Or like, I know you guys were talking with parks or whatever, but I personally like the idea of hearing something at Centennial Park, because I think that probably would be one of the sites out of those two options. I'd like to, if we were going to try one, that would be one that I would personally like to see us put some efforts towards.
I don't know what cost per se would be. Like I said, we wouldn't put boards up. It would be just plowing the snow, making it a snow berm around it, and then just flooding the inside. From Morton, Dan told me this morning, it would be a fairly easy process right now. We do have some manpower available to do that, so we could get started on something like that as a trial to see how we can get it working.
Yeah, because I think, and just with the discussions, obviously, with us removing the one from Cannonball Park, some of the idea was that we were going to divert our efforts from 3 rink surfaces to just maintain 2 as best we could, right? And I understand fully that we were taxed and timing and all those different things, but I think that's the expectation of the citizens, is that we removed one, so the other 2 should be, absorbing that effort of the third one. But that's just what I've heard through everything as well. So
yeah, my understanding in regards to Cannon Park was also the duration it took to get the tank and the equipment there. It was starting to freeze up and whatnot. Again, Centennial Park's fairly close. Might be a little bit easier to have something like that to go on.
Director Kennedy, have you looked, sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
just liners through your investigation, is that an acceptable method?
That's something that I don't think our Parks Department has done in the past. So that will be something that we'll look into
Yeah.
this year.
As I understand, that's, when you look on the little home kits and stuff, that's kind of what they do in the backyards, and it seems to.
I know, talking to some friends of mine that work for the city of Calgary, that's what they do with their outdoor rinks, is they do put liners down. It's a cost and it's manpower, but it's something that we can definitely look at.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question. We have different kinds of outdoor surfaces. We have boarded rinks, we have skating surfaces. Are there any rules or sort of guidelines about how we use those. And the example I'll use is I take my 4-year-old granddaughter down to the boarded surface and she's learning how to skate, and 12 adolescents come and they want to play shinny hockey. How do we handle that? Pucks and sticks don't mix with just recreational skating. Is there any kind of rule or regulation? Like, how do we police that? I guess that's my question.
Your worship, Councillor Harrison, I growing up on outdoor rinks and sloughs and dugouts, more of an etiquette than actual rules. If it's inside, then then you can apply the rules. But outdoor rinks are basically, there's an etiquette. That's unless you want to make rules and apply them through signage. Right now, from my experience, is more of an etiquette. If somebody is there without a puck and stick, usually the discussion could be halfers or no sticks at all, because it's very dangerous when somebody's skating through when there's pucks flying. So right now we don't police it, nor do we have signage to indicate how to best cooperate with those activities.
Then there hasn't been an issue or a problem in the past. I'm just asking because I've never been in a community when you have these different styles of ice service.
In my time here, Councillor Harrison, in 3.5 years, I've not heard of any direct complaints, nor do I hear all the complaints, but I have not picked up any from my chair on any complaints on the outdoor arenas.
So it's self-policing then. So no, you've answered my
I
question.
think-
Thank you.
Just, Dawn, I lived across the back alley for 10 years for the one down by the arena there, and we took our grandchildren and at varying ages, 2, 3, 4. And all the kids have always been, it's like Todd said, the ethics thing is most kids, in fact, I can assure you almost all of them, if you've got a 2 or 3-year-old out down there skating, you just tell them, say, guys, use your puck down at the other end for a while. Yeah, no problem. We'll go down there. So you don't have any pucks flying around the small kids. And they're all, I've watched that rink for years, and the kids all they work it out.
Okay. No,
But they're
it's just-
very receptive to adults making suggestions and stuff there.
Thank you.
It's pretty hard otherwise to police, but
Your worship, I'll just add to that too. Even watched it when we had shinny indoors. Like all the rink staff had to do was collect the $2, and the kids, whether they're 5 or 15, they work it out there. But I think that the thing that we all can't ignore here is as soon as we get a couple of these things going, now you've got the 10-person rule out there with COVID. And that'll be interesting because who gets there first and how all that probably, I mean, most of us probably saw the video out at Calgary and all that kind of stuff, but that 10-person rule, which is provincial, that could create some interesting situations.
So if I can give you some background on the outdoor rink with the boards, when it was first built, on the north end of it, there was a separate skating surface for people that didn't want to have sticks for the 4-year-old granddaughter. There was a separate skating surface there. There was also a changing shack on skids. And when the Optimist Club built it, we built wooden boardwalks that connected everything up. And somewhere along the line, the shit rats burnt the shed down. So once it disappeared, the second ice surface also disappeared. So, I mean, that might be an option. There is a nice flat area there. We did have some boards there at one time. And we did have a separate small little skating rink, similar to what was it, even a little smaller than Cannon Park, right? But it was another separate skating rink there so you could go there with the boys that wanted to play the shinny and the other people that just wanted to learn how to skate. And so just a suggestion that did work in the past, and it kind of fell by the wayside. And I, for one, am surprised because the warranty on that boards when they went up was about a week, and I'm surprised because I know the guy that built them, and I'm surprised they're still standing, so.
I know I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I'm always harping about Dodds Lake. The potential there for some ice. Director Kennedy, have you had an opportunity to look into that or?
Yeah, we reviewed it again with Dan's group. There is a real reluctance to put any type of heavy equipment on that lake just because of the previous incidents that have happened out there recently, over the last 2-3 years. So there is a real reluctancy to do that. And also just in regards to the purpose of it's a pond, that's a storm pond. It does fluctuate. There's been a number of articles in the news lately about staying off of ponds in other municipalities. They're not preferred skating surfaces, especially on the liability side because of, the amount of change that happens out there. So we have looked at it though, and it's just, not definitely a preference. If we would, versus doing maybe some separate surfaces throughout town, that would be, if there was an alternative, that would be our preference.
I don't know how these other communities get away with it by doing it, but I'm not just sure why, but anyways, if that's your decision, the biggest thing is to be safe, and I'm not asking anybody not to be safe, that's for sure.
Your worship, through to Director Kennedy, you may find down at Centennial Park, there may almost be room for 2 surfaces down there, right? If
Quite a bit of
you
open
chose to
space.
do that, there's a lot of open space on
Yeah.
that west side of the playground equipment and nice and flat.
I think one of the things we'll look at in Centennial Park is doing something similar to what it is at the arenas, where we'll have an indoor surface, outdoor, like inner and an outer, to allow some skating on the outside and maybe some puck play on the inside.
And then luminaries at night, right, Stuart? Okay.
Sorry, Director Kennedy, were you planning to do that this year? Was that a this year's project?
It is something we can do if council wants to look at having us to put some resources that way.
Well, as Councillor Hill stated, I would like to, if we need a motion or whatever we need to add those surfaces this year, because I think this is a pretty important year to be really focusing on that. And again, the more we've got, the less we've got congregated in one. Did I say that right? Congregated?
No, we don't.
Just a history question through to Director Kennedy, CEO Becker. When did Dodds Lake become a stormwater management pond? What year did that? Mr. Somebody.
This is where I just say it was in 1982 confidently, and you all believe me, right?
Somewhere in the early 80s, is that?
That's when it was in the early 80s when they put in that weir at the other side.
Yeah, that's when.
And dropped the level and kept it at the same level. It's always, for a very long time, it's always been somewhat storm retention. It just wasn't as maintained on a regular basis as what it is now, if that answers your question.
So when did they run that 36-inch pipe in off 56th Street? I guess that's what I'm asking. When did you start to run stormwater into the lake?
In the 80s.
In the 80s,
In the
yeah.
80s? Okay.
When they did that development on that street.
Which one?
We-
The one
On
For your
56.
house.
on
Just
56?
before that, yeah.
Thank you.
Your worship, through to Director Kennedy, just one more thing. I know you know what you're doing, but just be cognizant, I would say, if, you're putting in ice surfaces, 1 or 2 down there that there's a lot of cross-country skiers that come around and kind of cut down that west side back to the parking lot, or snowshoers and that go into the residential area and stuff. So just so we don't completely cut them off and they're having to ski across an ice surface.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The other thing I chatted with Dan this morning about is the drainage itself. We don't want to create an area of flooding in in the spring either, so we do have to look at drainage as another thing, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, it seems to be the consensus of council, Mr. Becker, that we could, hopefully administration there could look into that. Have that couple rinks in there by Christmas.
Time to spare, your worship. Yes, sir. So if council's okay, we'll reflect in the minutes your conversation, but we'll take it as action. If you're okay, we'll just proceed. Centennial Park, we'll look adjacent to the existing boarded arena as a potential location. If that's okay with you guys?
Sure.
Okay.
If you want the old skate park to look at as well, we can look there.
That old skate park's pretty small, right? Considering the times that we're in right now and
It's probably easier to do it on the grass than Director Kennedy, than it would be on that surface as far as containing the water.
I would just suggest you maybe look into a line or two. I mean, liners are readily available. Maybe you can,
I think probably for next year, we'll look at
yeah.
doing some costing and in regards to both rink development and trying to get our surfaces in a little quicker, maybe strategizing.
Was there not once a rink at Pythian Park too? An outdoor rink? Okay. That makes me old, but
I don't
in front of the
remember rink
apartment
there.
building. like-
No, that was behind,
Or
the
was it
the outdoor
behind?
rink was where off 48th Avenue to was right out my living room window. We just dressed our kids and put the skate guards on and watched them out the living room window for years. So
It was right,
it was to the east of the old rink. It was to the east of the old.
just to the east of the old rink. Yeah, that's. isn't
Okay.
that
So
where-
it would be on the east side of that apartment building, across where
Yeah.
those fourplexes
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
That's
Where
where
the
you had-
fourplexes are, not,
Mhm.
yeah,
Over in that area though. that's
Yeah,
where-
right
yeah.
on
Yeah.
that sort
yeah,
of.
no. That was the best babysitter there was that outdoor rink. So.
Okay, I guess that's what you hope to accomplish with your discussion, Councillor Carrot. I guess the next thing we can move on to do a quick roundtable discussion.
Would you like to start with me, your worship?
Councillor Hill.
Sure.
Well, you're,
Exactly.
ready.
Why change?
you looked
Why
ready.
mess with a good thing, right? Yeah, no, I haven't had obviously too terribly much on the go. Just enjoying all these changes and the lockdown and doing the best we can with what we got. But I am encouraged to hear that we do have some, potential skate rinks coming in, and I think definitely those the liners would be ideal in the future. And I know a lot of those that material that's used. Agricultural materials is the big thing that's being used for a lot of people's home rinks, because it's all those the plastic that keeps all your grain and stuff like that in the fields in between, like the long tubes you see. That's all fairly similar products, so I might be able to get our hands on some of that. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks like, and Centennial Park would be hopefully a great addition. But that's all I got at this time, your worship.
Councillor Bates.
I think all I've had since last week was MPC, and yeah, just wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I just had MPC as well, and just further to the ice rinks as well. And that maybe at some point we look at another boarded rink down by the arena or something outside, and a place for people to change their skates in a nice, and maybe that's part of the multiplex or another. I don't know how we can incorporate that, but in Red Deer, every community's got a heated bathroom, and it's wonderful. Anyway, that's it. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Councillor Barkley.
yeah, had MPC last week, and other than that, Merry Christmas and wish everybody the best in 2021.
So I had community services last week. Some more history for you when the outdoor rink went in where it is. The reason it didn't go behind the arena was opposition from some of the residents that lived over in that area. Didn't want pucks banging on the boards was their excuse. Anyways, the residents where it is at the end of 37th Street there on 54th Avenue, Dan Gervais was one of the residents, and Darcy and Amanda Woods were on the other end. And they were the leaders of the ones that fought to get it to come there. And they were so happy to have and we never had one single complaint, to my knowledge, about the pucks there. And it was a lot closer to houses there than it would have been in that other neighborhood. So just some history. I would love to see boards on that one by the arena, because that would have been a lot better location, or an easier location with the proximity to the arena. And so anyways, it's worked well for the last 20 years. It's been a while. Anyways, then Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Your Worship, and that's called NIMBY. Merry Christmas to you all, and you can just bear with me for a couple of minutes. We've, through the Canadian Municipal Network on Crime Prevention, there's a virtual, well, actually 3 training sessions coming up in January through February. It's a 12-hour course on rural crime prevention and community safety training, and timing was of the essence, and I believe our CAO has submitted 3 registrations for us, Todd?
There's actually 4 of the members of the committee that are interested, so we'll see what we can do.
Okay. So that's coming up, and just some of the outcomes of that training are some of the key terms and concepts in rural crime prevention and community safety and well-being, some of the context and background that supports the framework. And it's a real opportunity, I believe, to start to network with rural municipalities from across Canada. So it's, I'm glad that administration is supporting the committee there and covering the registration. Some of the facilitators are Corin Lightning Earl. He's from the Kodo Winton Law and Governance Lodge. There's Peter Tufix, he's out of K Division. He's one of the senior leaders from the RCMP. Of course, Councillor Boda. So it's, I think it's really going to be interesting for that 12-hour session. So yeah, we'll give an update once we get through the course. So thank you, Todd. And again, Merry Christmas and all the best in 2021, and have a safe, relaxing, and joyous holiday. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Don. I'll just bring you an update with that regional water line problem that we had, ruptured about 300 meters of 3-foot water pipe down by Pattison Grain. It's all back in business and repaired and such. It took about a 2-week period to get that dug up and replaced. But it's 3-foot pipe, so it's substantial. We're in the process of visiting all causes and looking even into some personnel training and different approaches to things. I don't think it's that anybody took their jobs too lightly out there, not realizing the need for that, how serious that line is to everybody for the 6 towns that are on it. But anyways, it doesn't hurt to revisit it once in a while and bring everybody up to speed, but on it being the essential service that it is. So I think we can all relax that it shouldn't, hopefully doesn't happen again for another 40 years. But I did get on to, I went on to a town hall session with Kenny and Laird, is it Minister Laird and Henshaw, and did pose a question to them. They all answered it, but I asked if they would consider perhaps a 2 or 3 day off at Christmas to relax. And they all talked extensively about it. Apparently they did discuss it, but it just, at that point in time, we were pushing close to 2,000 cases a day. So, it was not, we were starting to see a plateau, and I see even today now we're down to, around the 1,300 mark. So things are looking good. It's working, but they weren't prepared to relax. And they both spoke very, they had given it a lot of thought, but anyways. Other than that, I don't think I've got anything. Same thing, guys. Merry Christmas, and let's look for some good things in the new year. Stephen, you got anything?
I don't have anything to add, but I would wish you guys all a Merry Christmas and
Okay,
happy holidays.
thank you.
Yeah, nothing else to add, but again, yep, looking forward to the weekend. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'll just echo what everyone else is saying, and also just want to thank council for buying lunch for staff today. A nice gesture and very much appreciated. And also just curious as to when Councillor Reberger is going to start writing his book on the history of Innisfail.
Mr. Becker?
Yeah, just on behalf, as Stuart said, and these guys, on behalf of staff, just wanted to thank council on your generosity today for lunch and cookies. Is really, really kind of you. And again, have a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and it's Happy New Year, I guess, and safe and happy time, and a little bit of break from this stuff. So
Amen.
thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, for sake of discussion.
One last time for this year, I'll move we adjourn.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Is this the equinox? Is that what this is now? Yeah. Today? Days getting longer and colder.